Hey, welcome back. Well, you can see that this week's video is going to be a little bit chaotic. I'm not even going to put up the backdrop. You can probably hear my daughter in the next room in class right now, but we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about something really, really profound, really, really deep, and maybe even controversial. My predictions for this decade of 2020, so 2020 to let's say 2029. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about what this decade is all about according to the ancient wisdom of numerology. I'm going to share what to watch out for. What are the dangers that we want to avoid collectively as we traverse this decade? And most importantly, how can we succeed? How can we succeed as a player on the world stage this decade? And how can we be a force for good? Because man, we're going to need it. So if you are enjoying these Friday morning uploads and you want more of this content, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment below. It helps out a lot. So each number in numerology is talking about a fundamental force or instinct in the universe. Numbers aren't human inventions. They're symbols for describing these fundamental instincts, right? And so each number has a job to do. It has a purpose. The job of the number 2, the job of this decade, really, this timing cycle, is to create connection, peace, and harmony. Now, here's the thing. With every single number, there's a spectrum. There's the higher function and the lower function. There's the constructive expression of this thematic and the destructive expression of this thematic. So my first prediction is that definitely this decade, and we're already seeing it, man, we're seeing it, is we're going to experience absolutely incredible divisiveness, radicalism, singularity in perspective or opinion. Ultimately, the word is polarity, okay? Man, the kind of conflict and war that is potential here is paramount. We collectively are going to be confronted with this like shadow aspect of ourselves, you know, the collective psyche will be confronted with our unwillingness to see the other side. Our desire to have others conform to our beliefs and perceptions. And if they don't, we demonize them. Our desire, even our righteousness to get others to be on our side because we don't want to deal with the discomfort of an opposing point of view. It's already happening. It's already happening, and it's massively dangerous. So, one of the best ways to kind of look at the collective thematics that are going on is looking at our political world, right? I found this incredible image that like it takes my breath away. I know that's a little dramatic, but I found this incredible image that is depicting the political polarization that has occurred over time, in particular in the US, but I know that it's really worldwide. I put the image up right now if I can do it. In this image, you'll see in the top left-hand corner, there is a blob, and you see that there's blue dots and red dots. The blue represents the liberals or Democrats in the US House of Representatives, and the red dots represent the conservatives or the Republicans. Basically, what you see is there's an overlap, okay? There's like an overlap in colors, that there are liberals that had conservative leanings and there were conservatives that had liberal leanings, okay? But you can see that when you get down to the bottom right, which I believe was 2011, okay, the last time that they did the analysis of this, you can see the polarization, the sort of mitosis that has happened. There is a huge gap in between, and there is no one in the center. Man, there is no one in the center. The center is the space, the territory of the two, of the true higher function of the two in the universe. The center is where unity, peace, connection, resolution is created. The center is what we're going for, and there's no one there. Now, you might say to yourself, that's because our politicians are inherently corrupt, and you might be right, but studies actually show that the constituents, the people that vote in these politicians, get so upset, ream these politicians if they don't vote along party lines. So this isn't like there are these politicians that are inherently separately corrupt from us. It comes from you and me. And take a look at our own lives, okay? I researched this, and the incidences of people being married to somebody that have an opposing political or even religious point of view, it's very, very rare, right? How many friends, how many close ones do you have in your inner circle that have an opposing political, religious point of view? It's a very, very rare thing indeed. It's rare because it's hard. It's rare because it's something that requires a lot of spiritual maturity. So this first prediction of divisiveness, polarity, conflict, and war, we're already seeing it. But then what do we do about it? Well, we need to look at the higher function of the two, the higher function of this decade. What is really required for connection, peace, and unity. The higher function of the two is receptivity. It's openness, it's compromise, it's the middle way, it's the gray area, right? It's nuance. It's the alchemical growth that happens from being open and receptive to something that's opposing or separate from you. It's so funny because so many of us, preach peace and love and like togetherness, but we reserve that for people that agree with us. Peace and love, the magic of the number 2 of true unity does its magic in that space between opposing points of view. So, how do we become invaluable players on the world stage this decade? How do we prevent war? And how do we succeed more as individuals? I'm going to share with you like my top 3 tips from knowing the higher function of the two and studying it for about a decade now. And they're going to be so simple that you're going to think they're silly. Okay? But they're hard. And most of you are not going to do them because it hurts. It actually hurts to do this. Tip number 1, you got to be willing to let people into your life with different political, religious, or cultural points of view. I don't mean you have to let them into your inner circle. You don't have to sleep with them. But be willing to let in different people. Tip number 2, listen. God, it's such a rare thing nowadays. Listen. Don't listen to win. Don't listen to wait until you can speak and make your point. Listen to actually hear the values behind what a person is saying. I got this tip from the amazing relationship coach, Allison Armstrong. She talks about this in men versus women, but it applies to this concept of bridging the gap, right? Bridging the gap, bridging the divide. When you disagree with someone, take a moment and actually listen to what they are communicating matters to them. I love this. It's saved me so many times, and I really believe that it has the power to prevent war. War in marriage, with our children, in the workplace, but on the world stage. I married a conservative and I'm a liberal. And the spiritual transformation that occurred for me when I started to use this tip, it broke my heart open. I mean, not just to him, but to all of the different expressions of belief. And it helped me understand that when you really listen to what somebody is communicating, like not the details, not the policies, not the politics, but the values behind them, you realize that we're more alike than we are not alike, and that we just have different values in how to get there. Studies even show that conservatives and liberals, they each have a very important part to play, right? Liberals are like the heart, you know, we're like, we want to take care of the weak and the downtrodden. We want to help. We're about compassion. But compassion without structure, accountability, creates a kind of helplessness, right? But accountability and structure without heart creates destruction. We need each other. So listen. Don't listen to win. Listen to actually hear the values behind that opposing point of view. And my last tip, entertain nuance. This will prevent war. What if things aren't black and white? Be willing to see, to research the gray area of a topic, a policy, a situation, a political agenda. That's the gray area. If you do these things, your life will change. Your individual life will change. But you will become one of those rare individuals that is bridging that gap. You will become invaluable. If you have a 2 in your chart, this decade is huge for you. You have a natural ability to see the other side. You already have a natural knack for these tips that I just shared. You have a very, very important part to play. We need the higher function of the 2 to get through this decade and to come out of it as a team, to come out of it with togetherness as a nation, as collective communities, but as humanity as a whole. All right, guys, that was a doozy, wasn't it? If you want the link to that Oxford abstract, I'll put that in the description box. And if you enjoy this kind of like more world event political stuff, comment below and let me know. And I am looking for more ideas for future videos. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you want to learn about numerology? Bye, guys.